Work again. Google Meet's upgraded here, Steve. Can you check it out?
I can't get onto it on my laptop, so I'm on my phone.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, it's not letting me in.
Okay, let's see where we are here.
I'm trying to figure it out.
Okay, so it's not a long piece, but let's see if we can find some adequate depth. Okay, so we starting Sefer Vayikra, which is quite a technical one, very connected to all the Korbanot. Actually, my Barmi Parsha. I won't try to remember what my laning was like for you. But so Parsha Vayikra, we know it's talking about all the Korbanot, and what Rav Shurla over here is Rosh Hashiva Barot Shaul, Tel Aviv. So what Rav Shurla is talking about over here is this tension that we have as the Jewish people who try to come across as sensitive and non-genocidal, in the words of our enemies, and then at the same time we've got these like brutal korbanot, korbanot aspects. So the question is, like, where did the korbanot fit in? So there's a famous machlok between the Rambam and the Ramban, that the Rambam says that the korbanot were just a way of weaning us off the practices of Mitzrayim, and it was like sort of the done thing. Everybody goes out for coffee, so everybody goes and does the korbanot. So sort of the Torah, like Rabbi Ruskin, I remember used to say to us, the Torah is relevant for its time and for our time. So what's the lesson that we learn from it now? But it also had to be relevant for the time when it was given during those days. So now, when we look at this over here, Rav Kook is going to bring like a piece in Rav Kook to try and work out how we find this balance. So here we go. Okay, Vayikra al Musariyot, the Korban, the relationship between morality and sacrifice. בדרך כלל מובאים הפסוקים בראש ספר ישעיהו, למה לי רוב זבחיכם, כדי לבטא את אחד היסודות הנבואיים השכיחים מאוד בדבריהם. כלומר, כי יש חשיבות עליונה להקדמת ההתנהגות המוסרית להקרבת קורבנות. It says in general, whenever we talk about this relationship between korbanot and morality, which is this big challenge, so we bring these psukim from Sefer Yeshayahu, where Hashem famously says in the words of the Navi, Lama li rov zivchechem, right? Like, I want you to serve me, I want you to be good, I want you to do good in the world, and you can be, it could be that you're very evil, and you can bring me all the korbanot in the world, and they don't matter. What I really want is that you have a good heart and serve me in the right way and do good, ben adam lechavero and ben adam lemakom. But to bring me all these sacrifices, a billion sacrifices is not going to justify any immorality. There's no such thing as lip service in Judaism. So why does he bring? Why is this pasuk famously brought? Because one of the prophet fundamentals, prophetic fundamentals, it's very well known, that there's a very high level of importance that's given to the precedence of moral conduct before the giving of the korbanot. So it's not that korbanot are bad, but that korbanot are only good on the platform of morality. יסוד זה מתבטא בקיצור גם בדברי הושע הנביא, כי חסד חפשתי ולא זמני. The same fundamental is expressed by Hosea Navi, where he says, it is your kindness that I desire and not your sacrifice. And it's repeated and mentioned many times over in the words of other Naviim. Okay, so that's generally what we know, and it's quite famous in terms of the way that we treat this issue of korbanot and musar, is that really the korbanot are not worthy until we get our musar in check, and that the korbanot are not a replacement for musar. It's sort of like if there's the equivalent lahabdil of giving Hashem flowers. If you've got a spousal relationship and the one spouse is shouting and swearing and being mean and abusive to the other spouse, and then brings flowers at the same time, the flowers are worth nothing. But if you're in a loving and caring relationship, then the flowers are a beautiful expression of that. But the flowers never make up and for the opposite. מבט מכיוון אחר לעיקרון זה נמצא בדברי מרן הרב זצ"ל. So a different perspective on this aspect is found in the words of Rav Kook. לאור דברי רבי אלעזר, bringing Rabbi Elazar from the Gemara, ואמר רבי אלעזר, גדולה תפילה יוצא מן הקורבנות. So now he says, greater is prayer than the sacrifices. שנאמר, למה לירוא זבחיכם? וכתיב, ובפרשכם כפיכם אלים איני מכם. So he says tefillah is greater than the korbanot, because on the one hand you have this pasuk of lama lirov zivchechem, why do I need all these multitudes of sacrifices? And it says another pasuk u'farshechem kapechem ha'alim eni mikem. It's like when you're putting out your hands to daven, I will blind my eye from you. Right? Rabbi Elazar matzim et divrei nevuah. So Rabbi Elazar is strengthening the words of the prophets. אך גם אם אינו לומד ממנו דבר מה נושא הקשור לאתיקה לחסד וצדק, כי אם לתפילה ולמרכזיותה. So he's not talking directly about ethics and chesed and kindness and justice. He's rather talking about, he does it in the context of tefillah, of prayer, and its centrality. So we can therefore learn from this slightly different perspective another fundamental. So he says, according to his words, there's a much greater benefit to tefillah, to prayer, than there is to sacrifices. So now he's going to say, what's the difference and what's the relationship between korbanot and tefillah? So it says, when we talk about sacrifices, what are sacrifices there for? They're there to overcome the failures and faults within us. הקורבנות מגבירים את הכוחות הפנימיים על הכוחות המפריעים. So this is Rav Kook in Ein Ayah Masechet Brachot. So he says the korbanot, they strengthen our internal powers, our internal strengths and forces to overcome the distracting and bothering and sort of like deviating forces within us. So we've got all these things coming at us all the time, all these external pulls and external I don't know what's the word, like seductions or entreaties that put us into the wrong things. And what the korbanot do is that they give us this internal strength so that we can push away out of those things. Because these are the animalistic forces in the outside world. So the korbanot are something that strengthen our animalistic tendencies against the animalistic tendencies and pulls from outside of us. Okay, so that's the one side. So he'll explain it all a little bit later, but that's his first explanation. Hatfilah, as opposed to davening, prayer, this is internal work in the heart. And what does that do? That's so what this does is this strengthens our internal strengths right from within, and promotes the good and strengthens the good. So to quote the famous pasuk from Tehillim, there's two ways that we often think about our service of Hashem. The one is Aset. David Hoffenstein raised the hand. Yes, sir. Shalom, shalom. So there's that we say Sur Merah v'Asei Tov, right? There's like these two paradigms in service of Hashem, where you've got Sur Merah. One way is to just do good by staying away from evil. So if I stay away from evil, I sort of get to neutral, but I'm not being pulled into evil matters and to evil conduct. On the other hand, you've got Asei Tov, that you should be proactively doing good things. So it seems like he's making that distinction here between the korbanot and tefillah. So korbanot are something that help us to Sur Merah. There's all these external forces acting upon us that pull us into doing like our base instincts and animalistic forces, and being pulled after gashmiut, whether it be money or power, greed, jealousy, lust, all these different things. That's what the korbanot say. Okay, I'm going to show you how to treat an animalistic instinct, and you're going to have power over it. So you're going to take this animal, and that's going to be an external expression of you handling the animalistic expressions that pull on you, and that's the korbanot. It's the surmera. But tefillah does something different. Tefillah is something that that changes the person from the inside. Okay? And from this power that starts happening from within the person, that causes good and strength. So instead of me building all these fortresses to fight against the external forces, I should rather build tremendous good within me, so that there's such a powerful light that emanates from within me, from the deepest space, that those evil things become, just sort of much less relevant and part of who I am. Al Kain Gdolat Tefillah. So we're quoting this from the continuation of Einaya, which is Rav Kook's commentary on the Gemara. It says, Al Kain Gdolat Tefillah Yoter Min HaKorbanot. Therefore, prayer is greater than the sacrifices. Lefi Rabot Erech Al Hitkabrut HaPnimit HaKochot Hara Shebatzmo יותר מהתגבורותיו האמוניות החיצוניות. כי הערך האמיתי של האדם ראוי להיות נערך לפי התגבורת הטוב שבו בעצמו. So let's try to translate this. Rav Kook always gives us a good challenge. So he says, therefore, tefillah is greater than the sacrifices. It's like if you got 1 hour to do something in your service of Hashem, which one should you focus on? So you should focus on strengthening the good through tefillah rather than going out and shechting a lamb in your local Beit HaMikdash. Lefi rabot erech ha'itkabrut, because the value and the quality is so much greater of the of causing to do good rather than focusing on this building against these fortresses of preventing the things that come out from the outside. So he says, what is the true value? How do you judge the true value of a person? It's not how well I don't know, had the image of a cricket player coming in my head for whatever reason, right? So there's two ways you can stand at the what's it called, the pitch, I don't know, I forgot. And there's two ways a cricket player or a baseball player, right, can do two different things. You can have all the balls coming at you, and you can just block. It doesn't, and you can last there without going out. It doesn't turn you into a great cricket player, right, or a great baseball player. What you need to be able to do is know how to create good, how to create runs, how to create value by being involved in the world. So you got to get out there and score runs. That's going to be your true value. So he says, yeah. So how do you value a person? You don't value a person on how much they're able to fend off all the things coming at them. You value them based on all the good that they can create and produce in the world. So don't give yourself a huge squawk when you manage to just avoid doing something bad. You give yourself huge kudos when you manage to mobilize yourself to do something proactive and do something good. Because the true way of valuing a person and assessing their worth is according to the strength and the amplification of the good side that is within them. And I think it's often we find ourselves, Rav Kook subtly, I think, referring to different ways that it's not just Judaism versus Christianity or Judaism versus Islam, but even within Judaism, you find these different aspects. It's like, how much do we build our world based on creating fortresses and blocking off the bad, and then we turn that into this elite value, compared to saying, no, what are we going to do to build good? And it could be that it's complex when you're out there building good and you're putting yourself out there being proactive. It's much harder than just closing yourself within your little shtetl and then closing up all the doors and then saying, well, I'm doing good because I'm not doing bad. That's a very low value of bad, and that's what Rav Kook is saying in these words here. We really have to value ourselves much more on the good that we create than on the bad that we deflect. So this unique perspective strengthens the conditional nature of having morality when it comes to the korban. in order for us to make sure that we're focusing on aspects of justice and aspects of kindness, and then that can become the infrastructure on which we bring the korban. So just like the korban is brought on a bama, on a platform, so we have to think about what platform are we bringing the korbanot on in our lives, and the platform has to be a platform that's built not just out of an external fence that keeps bad things out, but rather it's built out of strong building blocks of goodness and kindness, and then we bring the korban as an expression on top of that. השינוי חייב לנבוע מתוך הרצון הטוב והנשמה הטהורה של האדם. The change has to come as an expression of the goodwill of a person and the pure soul of a person. ואז הקורבן הוא בבחינת יצירה מזכרת חיצונית מתאימה להעלאת עולמו הרוחני. And then the korban comes as this. The korban is always an external expression. That's what Rav Shlomo is saying. It's either it's on the base level, it's an external expression because it's like a fence that helps keeps the bad things out. But that's really such a defeatist victim sort of mentality that our greatest thing we can do is just deflect bad. So, but if you look at the korbanot from this perspective, you can say Tefilla has to come before korbanot, according to Rabbi Elazar in the Gemara. Why? Because the Tefilla creates this base and platform and bama and bima of goodness and kindness and strength. And then what is the korban's external aspect? It's saying that we now got to act within the external world, and the korban says you've now strengthened your internal aspects, and now when you're going into the outside world, the korbanot is a way of saying there are these animalistic channels that I can now use and sort of ride on. So instead of the let's say what are we sacrificing? There's the cow that we sacrifice. So the one thing is the cow is something that is like a big thing that God's, it's so big and fat that it can stop stop bad things coming into my life. Or it becomes, that's according to the first shita. The second shita is that the cow is the physical resources that I can now use to do more good in the world. It's giving me that platform in the physical world to do more good and to reach out with good. So that's what he's saying here. שינוי חייב לנבוע מתוך הרצון הטוב והנשמת האדם, ואז הקורבן הוא בבחינת יצירה מסגרת חיצונית. It gives me the external platform to uplift my spiritual world that I've already strengthened from the inside. משעה שאנו מכינים את הכלים הטהורים, from the time that we prepare our pure vessels, יוצא הקורבן את האפשרות לרומם אותם כלפי מעלה. From that moment, the korban now becomes an external vehicle that I can use to uplift myself. And to bring the person closer to the master of the world. So there's some simple Kook teachings for the morning. But it's also interesting, based on what we saw at the end of last week, and I said this at the Whiskey Kiddush, David, the Parashat Pekudei coming at the end of Sefer, at the end of like the description of the Mishkan, is to say once you've got the internal things right and strong, then make the Beit HaMikdash beautiful and use the aesthetics as the platform to take that holiness onto tremendous high levels. But you can't do it the opposite way around. You can't say because it's beautiful, therefore it's good. You can't say because it's big and strong and got good aesthetics, therefore it's good. That's the wrong way around. We've got to make sure that we're good internally. We've got tzedek and chesed and kindness and goodness within us. And then we build these strong platforms to take that chesed and tzedek and put it out to the world. And then we say, wow, the Jewish people are so good internally and so pure. And you can see it through the beauty that they have in their Beit HaMikdash. This person is so good and ethical and moral. And I can see now that when he does his korban, he's strengthening his external muscles to take that goodness and kindness and give it a vehicle to be out on the outside world. I had an interesting experience last night. I've got a friend who's a teacher at the Tannenbaum School in Canada, and he's asked a few of us who we learned in Kollel together to speak to his class. He's got a Jewish studies class. So I was on a Zoom last night with these kids in Canada, and it was really special. They sort of researched me and all the things I've done since October 7th, and then had a whole list of questions. But one of the questions that they had, which relates to this, was we're going to college next year, and there's going to be anti-Semites and things. How do we deal with that? And I essentially gave them this answer. I said, one, don't try to change the extremist, as enticing as it is. And I sent them my letter to Gary I said it was so enticing, and it pulled me in, to have this guy who was tagging me on his posts, and he was talking 100% lies, and I knew that I was on the side of 100% truth. So it was so enticing to engage in, but I was never going to change him, and all it did was waste my time in terms of being able to do more good. So I said, the first thing you need to do is make sure you know what you believe in and be passionate about it, not for the purpose of changing the extremist, but invest in yourself. And I shared with them some resources to do that. And I just said to them, they asked me how my worldview changed since October 7th. I said, on the one hand, broken from all the trauma that's been caused, but on the other hand, just madly inspired and grateful to be part of the Jewish people, where we see when we pushed into a corner, how much chesed and kindness and strength and resilience and bravery and courage and godliness there is in our people. So please God, when we stop you having to use all of our resources to fight the external evil, we can then have those powerful external resources available to us to be a platform for all the goodness and kindness that rests within us, and not just to have to fend off all the dark, but to platform forward all the light. Bezrat Hashem. Shkoyach, nice to see you, Doctor. Got you out of the operating theatre. Good. Thanks everybody for joining. Have a Shabbat Shalom.
I have a question for you, Liron.
Please. I love questions.
No, it has nothing to do with this. Anybody here going to the marathon tomorrow in Jerusalem?
That's it. It's all about the marathon. You've got to use your external muscles to platform the light of Jerusalem. But I'm not going.
Anybody from Tel Mond coming back to Tel Mond?
I'll send you now, and I think there's a few people who can put you in.
Okay, great. Do that. Thank you.
Okay. All the best, everybody. Yeah, Michael, go for it.
Hi. No, this is for you.